I got a quick question. What do they plan on doing with that building?
I'm sorry?
What do they plan on doing with the old school there?
Well,
Well,
that hasn't been decided yet.
It was in the paper. We're actually going to be discussing it at the next board meeting. The aldermen went on a tour Sunday, so they need time to talk about it and talk about it.
So the city is still paying expenses to keep it going?
I noticed they had some trouble with that elevator one time because they had a smoke problem. We had to go out there and see about it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Paul, I don't know how that heating system is set up there. Is there a capability for that building to have heat directed mainly toward the gymnasium area and then shut off or turn down? Because I know we were keeping that on, what, 45 or 50 or whatever.
That's what it ran.
Yes.
Yeah,
we kept it very low
running on its own
last winter. So would we have the capacity to heat the gymnasium and still be energy efficient in other areas of the building that aren't being used and keep those lower?
The way it stands right now, as best I know, you've got water. When you turn the water on, it's going to go to the whole building. It'll go everywhere. We don't know, well, Dennis doesn't know either, where there'd be shut-offs to actually isolate different areas of the building. Since you're going to run the water, then you have to heat everything.
So when you fire the boiler up, say you're going to warm it up for use by the park for activities, how long does it take? How long would you have to run that to warm the gymnasium for use?
Basically, what will have to happen if you're going to use, now this is me, this is what I think. If you're going to use part of the building, you'll have to run the boiler all the time. You'll have to run the whole time, just like we did last winter. You know.
But you can adjust it for it to be.
Well, we'll have to. There's different thermostats in different areas.
Okay.
Yeah, but we still, it'll have to be turned up to where they can play in the gym.
I have a question.
Joe, you had mentioned you were looking at renting it, and if you were to rent it and the revenue from that rental, would that go to help pay the utilities at that?
Well, we really haven't discussed that, but I mean, I'm sure that we can come to some happy conclusion.
Can I ask a question? How much were the expenses last winter when it was kept at 50? I mean, how much were the expenses then?
Trying to remember. Do you remember, Paul? What the expenses were last winter?
She's got it right there.
Okay.
For the most part.
As of the end of September, your total insurance, electricity, water, gas was $10,600 for the year from the time we took possession of the building through the end of September. The 2011 budget has only got that $10,000 budgeted at this point because there was no anticipation of use of the building, so the insurance premiums have not been adjusted or anything else.
And that 10,006, that's not including repairs to the boiler and,
no,
and additional things. That's just maintenance. That's running it
and utilities. Yes.
Something that I've thought about is, and I'm sure Justin played down there, Steve played down there, is it's, for one thing, it's underground. It's below ground level, the gym. So, and I know that when we were younger, whatever, you don't expect it to be 80 degrees in there because it's not going to be. So, the building itself, whatever the building itself's temperature is, it's going to be about the same in the gym. Now, I agree that when it's 10 below outside, it's gonna be cold in there, and nobody's gonna probably want to rent it in those situations. But for the rest of the year, it's hot, cold, it's whatever it is outside, and, you know, again, it's below ground level, so, you know, it really doesn't have that big effect in it. I can remember when I was in junior high, we practiced there at 5 a.m. in the morning in the dead of winter. You know, so.
So you're just not talking winter use for it, you're thinking maybe going into the spring and...
Well, yeah, I'm
summer.
talking until something, you know, until a plan comes up to refurbish it or whatever, and in Laura's presentation, that was one of the first things that they talked about doing, was spending the money to do that part of it. So, and again, you know, I think that's great. I'm just talking about in the meantime, until you come up with a big, you know, that amount of money. Otherwise, you're just sitting here with a gym not being utilized that we can use as a park department.
I think one of the first things we need to do is investigate our insurance coverage. Because it is covered just as a vacant building right now, and so we would have to look into that, Joe. And then I don't have a problem with us, you know, checking into that, and then if that's something that, you know, it can be utilized when it can be utilized, based on, you know, how warm or hot or cold it is in there. I don't have a problem, you know, with us considering that at all. That's my position.
Yeah.
I have just a quick question. I've been out of the loop a little bit on the school building side of it, but my last understanding was, I thought they were gonna condemn that because it was unsafe to be in there, and that's why they built that new upper elementary school. So if it's unsafe because it didn't have a fire system in it, how can we go about using it if it's not up to code yet? So I don't know, maybe it was never condemned, or what the deal is on it. Has it actually been condemned or not?
No.
Today, we don't know what we're gonna do with it exactly.
Okay.
We're looking at all different...
But it is still salvageable then, is what you're saying. Huh. Wonder why we built that new upper elementary school. Because that was the whole reason behind it. The new school was, it was unsafe for our children.
You can ask your school board.
Well,
So, that's just, I'm curious.
the junior high is no longer, I mean, as for a school, you know, you have special requirements for, you know, special education, teacher room, teacher space, that kind of thing, that the old building just did not have that room.
Yeah, but my understanding is the upper floor was sagging so bad that the school teachers had to put their books and everything on the outer walls, preventing it from collapsing. So if it's to that point now, and we're gonna let the parks go in there and use it as basketball? Come on now.
I was in the building on Sunday, walked every floor as long as some of these others. It is not anywhere near that bad shape.
So where did the concept come up?
The
saying it was
idea,
so
the idea
unsafe?
for, well, what you're talking about is the library, and it's kind of like, you know, you have that big open space. It's having books up there is kind of like sticking a car in the middle of the room and expecting the floor to stay. There's no, the way the building was built, the support beams go north to south on that end. And having that wide open space after, you know, so many years of having books on it, the weight bearing load was a concern. But now that the books aren't there, it's open, it's no longer a concern. The weight issue would never be a concern for what we're thinking about putting in the building.